right? Because that
Oh
all
yeah,
kind of
that's good. Yes, yes, yes. I just have to say that I've been following you from, I think, the second day you decided to, well, I was watching when you were running for the Senate,
Senate.
and then you were being magnanimous, which, you know, and they say chivalry is dead. You know what I mean? You allow the woman to go like right over the raincoat from the puddle onto that shit. But I mean, I do hope she pulls out the win. And it was
Well, I was hoping I earned some karma points there, but I'm certainly not cashing them in yet.
well,
The karma has not come back around just yet.
I mean, there's always hope, right? And that's what these last 47 and a half hours. I mean, you know, you have a couple days. I mean, what are the polls saying right now?
So polls are very expensive, and so not only are they infrequently run, they're not run very deep for congressional races like these,
You know,
and
I
so
can move the camera to the eye line so that you're, it's like, you know what I
right
mean?
there.
We're almost looking at each other. Okay, better.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, so I'm looking here.
Hello.
Got it.
I learned the
Blocking.
hard way.
Thank you.
Right. You can
Ready for my
vote.
close-up, Mr.
You
DeMille.
can vote and run for Congress. That's
Yes, there is absolutely hope. I am the underdog. Of course, I had a complete clear path to the general originally when I entered this race, when the Democratic Party wooed me into this race and committed to giving me support. Of course, that all changed when the machine changed their mind. But there's still a path. I don't have the same name recognition of my primary competitor. She's been around a lot longer running for office. I think she had lost 6 times before winning the last 2 cycles for state senate. And that gives a lot of name recognition when you just see it on a ballot as a Democrat. So she's a safe bet for Dems. But she doesn't have the same dynamic energy of actually accomplishing things around the issues we care about in Florida. And so I'm hoping my accomplishments resonate and that I have an actual plan once I get to DC to deliver for Florida on water quality, affordable housing. And of course, all the huge issues we're dealing with from democracy as a whole, just that little thing. But I believe what wins this race is focusing on Florida, South Florida, specifically issues of housing and water quality.
I mean, you're in the part of town where like floods would be an issue too, right?
Correct. My district is all the waterfront of Miami, and we've invested hundreds of millions over the last few years without raising taxes to get it done. The federal government's been completely absent. So yes, storm surge, sea level rise, people really care about this. Like it'll be a sunny day and we'll have flooding in the streets from a high tide.
Yeah, I saw your the debate that you had with that woman. I'm just gonna call her that woman. You know what I
She's the state senator. I'll do it for you.
mean? I know, but I'm still calling her that. I'm being very specific. I just kind of feel like, you know, I want to convey to anyone that's going to watch this and that you need to win because of the energy and the exuberance and the youthful quality that we are all, well, I speak we like I am still in my 20s, but that we all need to see shift into our government. You know, status quo, the story of the DNCCC, whatever, you know, the fact that they kind of pulled kind of a fast one is, it's every reason why so many people are just disillusioned with the two-party system and the Democrats in general and the old guard. Like I just saw in, I think it's a New York 27 district that's happening between Nadler and Maloney and that new kid. And like Jerry Nadler's like ahead by like a land. Like, what? Like, it's just, it's the reality that we're almost not there yet. Like, we have to push and shove and kick and scream
The
to get you in that seat.
the old guard will not make way for the new guard lightly, right? That's the whole reason they're entrenched. They like being there. They're not going away easily. So nothing like this is taken simply. And you do it against odds. You do it against the will of the incumbents. So yes, if all were a level playing field, the voice of youth would certainly help push me in. There is a heavy weighted scale though, and so we have even more to overcome. But that's just as fitting. But there's a path, and so I'm very excited for Tuesday. Early voting just finished about an hour ago, half an hour ago, here in Miami. They closed the polls on the last Sunday for early voting at 4 p.m. So they open back up on Tuesday morning, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, you're definitely one of the ones to watch. In general, you're young and you have a bright career in this political system that we find ourselves in. So I just think you're also smart enough to, because of just what you've been talking about while you were in the position you're in, long game. Seems like you're already on the long game mindset because of, the water, clean water, and all the things that are part of the things that are not going to happen overnight, that somebody has to keep fighting for those things. So yeah, I mean, I think anyone that's watched me that knows you doesn't need to know all of your backstory. I just want to talk to me about like the three most important things for your campaign that you want to just drive.
Well, I think it's important for people to,
in any order, just
sure. I think it's important for people to know that this is a moment that outsiders really have no barriers to entry. Things like TikTok have really opened up the doors and democratized access for a non-traditional candidate to find an audience without large dollars. In fact, you can't buy it if you wanted to. You either connect here or you don't. And any candidate can do what I've done in just a few months, finding nearly 500,000 followers on TikTok who are politically engaged, who are watching our race. I think that's the number one thing I really hope people take away. Whether I win or lose on Tuesday, I want to believe that we're starting to change the conversation of how electeds interact with their voters.
right.
And so that's definitely number one. Number two is whether or not the youth are going to mobilize like we always dream they will. From the early days of Rock the Vote with P. Diddy and Bon Jovi, will the youth show up this time like a cavalry? I believe that Gen Z is really impressing me in terms of their engagement, their knowledge, their activism, their advocacy. And so hopefully that shows up in the numbers at the polls. And I'm really proud to be a part of that, even though I'm 49 years old. I've just got good Asian genes, that's all.
Yeah, you're
But yeah, and the other thing is all about accomplishment. You don't hear me talk a lot about what I believe in or what I want to fight for. I'll talk a lot about what I've worked on and done, what I've gotten past while in the minority on a very difficult City of Miami commission. And that speaks to how I'm going to get things done in the future. It's not about reach across the aisle and compromise. It's about consensus building and not compromising on the things that are important to you, but finding the votes to get it done, finding that politics in chess. And I've really enjoyed learning that. But I wasn't in politics even 8 years ago. And that's the other thing. The barriers of people say, I'm not ready to run. They say, oh, I've got to go to law school, or I've got to run for some local seat first. I've got to do this first. You are ready to run. You are absolutely. There's a Spanish saying about when a baby is born, it's got 2 loaves of bread under its arms. And I don't know exactly how that translates, but the idea is you are ready when you come out. You will find your way to feed yourself in the political arena, and you know everything you need to know. And what you don't know, you'll learn. And what you don't know, you'll bring people around you that know more than you, that you trust. And so I definitely want to tell people to go for it.
And what would you say your top 3 accomplishments have been that you're the proudest of the things that you've worked towards, fought for, and feel like that's on your badge?
Sure. Affordable housing is the biggest thing that I've worked on and had a big accomplishment on in Miami. We're the least affordable city in the entire country by measure of how much people make versus how much they spend of their salary on their rent or mortgage. We're the only city, the city with the largest amount of people spending more than 50% of their income on their rent anywhere in the country. So I've created over 1,000 units of affordable housing while I've been a city commissioner, and created hundreds of millions of dollars through unique mechanisms that don't rely on the federal government and don't raise taxes. We created a thing here called a community redevelopment agency, where they draw a line around an area of slum and blight that's been neglected for investment. And we trap all the future taxes there for the next 30 years, and they can only be spent on affordable housing. I've chaired 2 of those, and I've created a new one of those for $500 million in a much needed community called Little Bahamas. We just renamed it, but it's the founding neighborhood of Miami. So affordable housing is definitely the thing I'm most proud of, but I see the limitations when you try to use HUD dollars. It's an absolute train wreck. And so I've never touched it, a project with HUD dollars, and that's something I want to work on at the federal level. Right. And the other one's infrastructure. I passed the Miami Forever Bond, $400 million general obligation bond for storm surge, sea level rise, and infrastructure. And did it without raising taxes. And I had to get it on the ballot so our voters could understand it and vote for it. And then I had to campaign for it so that it would pass. And now we're spending it and building good things. Again, no help or money from the federal government there. And the final one is climate change. I've passed the state's strongest legislation of any city in terms of climate change. Now, because of my ordinances in Miami, there's 1,000 towers that must measure their electricity efficiency every year, and they must improve that efficiency score every 5 years. So those are the 3 things that I'm most proud of.
That's amazing. Can you maybe move to Los Angeles, where we need a lot of help in the housing department? Because, honey, it's like, yeesh. LA is like going through, it's almost like Night of the Living Dead around here. Between,
I can't imagine. We're so lucky. We only have 500 homeless in the city of Miami. 500 for the entire city.
I have 500 like in eye shot from where I am. You know what I mean? It's become, and I live in Beverly Hills, you know, it's like, ooh, anyway. Yeah, I just think, you know, everyone that sees you is into the way you present yourself, which is fresh and exciting and smart and part of the culture, which I think is what needs to, it's almost like we need to just like take the Congress, like take like an old fucking drug and get the dust out, damn it. So what else? I wanted to ask you, I wanted to actually just talk about the TikTok community thing, which again, I'm no spring chicken, but I found I don't have a gigantic audience, but I have the most loyal.
Oh, you're doing great.
The people are just, if you're honest, when you're you, that's where they come to you. And had I not been in lockdown, I mean, none of us really would have found this. I mean, you came post-lockdown era, but people take TikTok for granted. They think it's strictly kind of, it's not like, I connected with the DNC early on. That's why I really, you told that story about the DCC, I was like, fuck these people. But the DNC, I reached out to them. They didn't respond. I left another message in the DC office. No word back. I gave it 5 days waits just to give them the benefit of the doubt. No answer. I dialed up. I got somebody in front. I go, what the fuck do you people do for a living? And we started a whole series of groups and chats and Zooms and talking, and completely no follow-up, no follow-through. And they don't even like have the courtesy to send their talking points anymore. You know, it's like, it's almost like they have such a huge, and I get it, when you have such a big, it's my favorite saying when I used to be in the fashion industry, and I had a big client, a big denim client, I used to say, you can't make a sharp right turn on a submarine. And I get it. You can't like, you know, switch on a dime and, okay, let's now focus on Canada, let's whatever, because there's so many decision makers in the process that it just gets belabored in probably this corporate speak. But they don't take TikTok for what it can be. And I think we could take plenty of credit for the 2020 election, plenty of credit for Georgia in 21, and we will have impact, and you will win on Tuesday, because I feel like karma-wise, it's in the bag for you. And that is just,
well, that's what I said. I don't know if the karma's paying off this week or sometime at a later date, but I'm definitely racking up some karma points. In my case with the DCCC, I don't believe this was an organic miscalculation of theirs. I really believe, and this isn't a conspiracy, this is what they told me, that a bit of a deal was cut. And so Annette Taddeo, the senator I'm running against in the primary, the other Democrat, was running for governor. And she was a thorn in the side of both the folks who were in first and second place, which are Charlie Crist and Nikki Fried. And she was there. I don't know what she was there for, because she wasn't leading. She was at the 1% in the polls, but she was drawing a lot of attention from them both. And when she got out of that race, both of them basically endorsed her for this race, even though I was already in this race. And in communication with Nikki Fried, for example, I had endorsed Nikki Fried. And the day that letter came down where she says, well, we look forward to our next, congressperson, Annette Taddeo. I'm like, wait, this person has been your nemesis for the last 6 months, and you finally got them out of your race. And so when they dropped me, when the DCCC dropped me, I called them because I wasn't going to just take a Dear John letter and not give them a call. Right. I said, wait, this is the opposite of everything you promised me we were going to work on together with regard to resources. What they had said was, if someone else gets in, we will have a level playing field for all. But they never said we might turn around and drop you. And this is even before qualifying, before the first reporting. And I even outraised her in that first quarter by a good $50,000, $60,000. But what they told me was, we received member pressure. And by member, they meant members of the House of Representatives. So whether it was, Charlie Crist, who was in that governor's race, who's also in the House, or Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who quickly endorsed her, she had enough friends in the system already that they weren't going to listen to me at all, no matter how much I raised, no matter how much support I was growing, no matter, so that was unfortunate, because I really believe that the party should listen to the people in the primaries, and the people should listen to the party in the general. I really believe that's the flow of that tide, because they don't have their finger on the pulse down here. They don't know what it takes to beat a Republican locally here, but our voters do, because they're the ones that are going to choose. And so let them find their champion, and then strengthen that champion for the long haul in the general. But we shall see. I love your optimism. I carry it too, but we're also running a brick and mortar campaign. 20,000 doors, 20,000 phone calls. We got an amazing team. We're doing the hard stuff too.
I think no matter what, and I just have to say, no matter what, you won this race for laying the ground for your future. Whatever,
number 2 at the polls, number 1 at our hearts.
no, but whatever the outcome, who you are is so special, and that's something that I trust my influence on. And we have definitely, no matter what, have a long future with Ken Russell. Not because you're a director of that film that from the 70s.
He's made some spicy ones.
I know. But yeah, no, I just wanted to take these few minutes to say that, I'm going to push for you. I wish if I lived in that area, I would, of course, vote for you. But I'll put up, we've done, and when I contacted you, we have a few people in this, we have this TikTok creative, this content creator Zooms about who to get behind and whatever. So
I didn't know that. Nice.
Yeah,
well, for you to say that means a lot to me. I've watched your content. I'm enjoying seeing the joy in you as we're turning some corners on some very major issues around Trump, around Biden, around the economy. I mean, hopefully all timed well, but I really love the way you package it and deliver it. The snark is on point. It's just you clearly get this medium, and I'm glad we got together. I'm sorry it took so long.
No,
but I really appreciate it.
I was thrilled when I got your text. I was like, yes. All right, well, you be good. We stay connected no matter what, because you are definitely one for the long haul.
Oh, thank you. Let me get a screen grab of us here. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Abe. Thanks for what you do. Take care.